Okay, so let's look at the distributive property in practice, right? In an algebraic expression, or rather an algebraic equation, right? The difference, by the way, expressions don't have equal signs. That's all. If it has an equal sign, it's an equation, right? Okay, so let's look at this first problem. 4 times x minus 3 equals 20, right? 4 parentheses x minus 3 equals 20. I'm going to use the distributive property because I can't subtract 3 from x because I don't know what x is, right? But I can distribute the 4 double rainbow style to both objects in the parentheses. I simplify that to be 4 times x, which is 4x. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Now, you're going to hear me talk about negatives in place of subtraction. Those are kind of interchangeable, right? So even though this is a negative or a subtraction sign, this is the same thing as a positive times a negative gives us a negative. Remember that rule? Positive times a negative gives us a negative. So that simplifies to that. The parentheses are gone. Now it's just straight up algebra. Now, if you have your algorithm handy, you'll notice that there weren't any fractions, but look at that. Step 2, distribute, double rainbow. We did that. Okay, that's the first thing you want to do if there's parentheses. So now we need to go on to step 3. There are no like terms, right? There's no like terms here. So now we need to, all the variables are already on the left, so that's good. Now move all the constants to the right. A constant is basically a number, right? A number that's always going to be a number. Negative 12, always going to be negative 12, so that's a constant. We need to move that over to the right side. Now we're talking inverse operations. What is the inverse of minus 12? Well, of course it's plus 12. Yeah? So when I add 12 to both sides, what I've done is canceled this out. Negative 12 plus 12 gives me 0, so that means this disappears. Positive 20 plus 12 gives me 4x equals 32. Yeah? Again, inverse operations. 4x is the same thing as 4 times x. The inverse of multiplication is, of course, division. Notice how I use the slash or the fraction line to display division. 4x divided by 4, well, 4 over 4 is 1, so that makes the 4's go away, leaving me with just x, or 1x, which is x. 32 divided by 4 is a nice even number. X equals 8. Okay, so that was step 6, right? We moved all the constants over. That was step 5. Isolate the variable. We broke up the variable in its constant, 4x, or sorry, in its coefficient, using division, right? The coefficient was 4. We split that up using division. Okay, let's look at another example. This one's a little, not really more complicated, but there is one curveball, and that's this coefficient right here is a negative 2. That negative sign distributes just alongside the 2. So I'm distributing negative 2 to both of these, yeah? Okay, negative 2 times positive 2x, negative times a positive, that's going to give me negative 4x. Negative 2 times negative 1, negative times a negative is a positive, positive 2. So when I distribute the negative 2, I simplify to this. Negative 4x plus 2 equals 10. I want all my variables on the left. There's nothing, no like terms to combine. I want to get rid of that constant. The inverse of positive is negative. Subtract 2 from both sides. Why am I doing it on both sides? Because I want to keep the equation equal. So whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side. If I take away 2 from that side, all of a sudden it's less valuable and that side hasn't changed. But if I take 2 from both sides, the scale balances out again. That's really important. That simplifies to negative 4x equals 8. I need to isolate the x. I need to break up that coefficient from its exponent, or excuse me, from its variable. Now, be really careful. Do I divide by 4 or do I divide by negative 4? Think about it this way. My ultimate goal is to get the x by itself. If I divide by a positive 4, that would give me a negative x, right? Because a negative divided by a positive would give me a negative there. And negative x is not x. So in order to make this a positive x, I need to divide a negative by a negative. Remember, because that cancels out the negatives, leaving me a positive 1x or a positive x here. So I divide both sides by negative 4. Basically, you divide by the coefficient, whatever the coefficient is, positive, negative, and you'll be fine. Divide both sides by negative 4. Now, this is negative, of course, because positive divided by a negative is a negative. Step 7, box up our answer. X equals negative 2. Now, what do these actually mean? Right? Remember, this is a one solution because x equals exactly one thing, in this case, negative 2. What this is telling us is that if I plug in negative 2 right there, these numbers will equal this number, right? 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 2, negative times a negative, is positive 10. So that's a way of checking it. When you plug in this value in the x position and you simplify, this equation will ring true. The equation will be true. Okay, you did it.